1500. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. I'm Jacqueline Hughes. I'm the Secretary General of the World Agriculture Forum, and I'll chair the webinar. And at the World Agriculture Forum, we envision a transformative future where global agriculture is defined by boundaries of boundless innovation and dynamic growth and unparalleled productivity, unwavering sustainability. So welcome to this World Agriculture Forum webinar series, and the title of this event is Strengthening Private Sector Partnerships to Boost Sustainable Agriculture. We have a very high-level panel today to share their thoughts and vision with us. We have Carlos Magariños, a renowned leader in politics, diplomacy, academia, and business. He's the chair of the Global Alliance of Small and Medium Enterprises and Director of Global Strategy and External Affairs of the Wertheim Group and Vrio Corp. He was the DG of UNIDO and was previously Argentina's Secretary for Industry. A self-made expert in innovation and economic development, he's authored 10 books and frequently speaks globally. He has held roles of Secretary of State, Ambassador, CEO, and is affiliated with Oxford University and Renmin University of China. Welcome, Carlos. We also have Katarina Müller-Hermann, experienced leader, passionate advocate for farmers. She has a robust profile in strategy and consulting, specializing in developing farmer-centric solutions and platforms. Her diverse roles in transformation, consulting, commercial, and strategy have honed her expertise. She is currently the Director of Partnerships, Smallholder Ecosystem Enablement at Bayer AG, Division of Crop Science. She focuses on creating holistic ecosystems with public and private partners to facilitate access to finance, tech, and market opportunities for rural communities. Carlos Watson is currently the Chief Private Sector within the Partnerships and UN Collaboration Division of FAO. He was previously appointed as the FAO rep to the People's Republic of China in February 2021 and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea in March 2021. Mr. Watson, a national of Honduras, holds a master's degree in Industrial and Administrative Sciences from the University of London and a bachelor's degree in Industrial and Mechanical Engineering from the University of Bridgeport in the US. And our fourth panelist is Arnaud Petit. He's the Executive Director of the International Grains Council, IGC. Based in London, IGC provides independent market analysis on grains, oilseeds, and rice, supporting global trade through intergovernmental collaboration. It also serves as a secretariat for the Food Assistance Committee, enhancing donor coordination for effective food aid. From 2005 to 2017, he was the Director of Commodities and Trade at Copa Cogeca, the European Farmers and Agri-Cooperatives Union, and has served on EU expert groups. Earlier, he was the policy advisor at France's National Chamber for Agriculture. He has a degree in agricultural economics from the International Center for Advanced Mediterranean Agronomic Studies in France. So to start this webinar, we thought each of these esteemed panelists, please give me your initial thoughts and context around strengthening private sector partnerships to boost sustainable agriculture. Let's start. Carlos Magariños, please.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Thank you for your generous introduction. I am very pleased to be in such a qualified panel. And I think it's commonplace to say you are addressing a very important issue when you're in a seminar like ours today. But even risking our audience to think I am falling in such a common place, I would say this seminar is very relevant and timely because my perception is that there is no doubt there's consensus and recognition that unsustainable food systems must be transformed, must continue to be transformed to become more sustainable. But even though that consensus is there, we need much more action, much more need to be done. to ensure such transformation. So governments, international organizations, the private sector, and other relevant stakeholders need to constantly update approaches, make meaningful contributions to common targets, and they need to do so in the presence of significant pressures on national budgets and public finances. I've seen that everywhere. Last week in Mexico and Central America, they are all looking at those constraints, and they need to push transformation and meaningful reorganization of productive systems in such context. No? At the same time, food systems themselves, they are facing increasing numbers of plant and animal pests and diseases, including zoonosis, as well as emerging threats such as antimicrobial resistance and climate shocks, which requires new research, innovation, and collaboration. That's the context, I think, for private sector to make a significant contribution to help and support achieve the transformation of the food systems around the world. Private sector has been playing that role in a very meaningful and relevant manner, but I think such role could only grow in the future. Multilateral organizations and our own World Agricultural Forum must play a catalytic role to revise and develop innovative mechanisms for private sector partnerships. We all know which those mechanisms could be, and they range from policy dialogue that helps private sector to bring a unique viewpoint to complex, productive, and developing challenges. Multi-stakeholder dialogues cannot be held without key participation of the private sector. Other mechanisms are capacity development or capacity building, especially to develop value chains and make it more sustainable. Resource mobilization and technical cooperation are of the essence to support capacity building activities and to delivering technical solutions to define technical specifications. I think platforms for knowledge and research, sharing information on market trends and emerging technologies are also key, as well as innovation to adopt innovative solutions to new situations and challenges. And obviously, one issue I'd like to highlight is the engagement with private sector to support for financing and investment, catalyzing, blending, leveraging, and structuring resources of domestic and international resources to foster production and development. Now, which are the issues that must be at the center of private sector partnership? And obviously, there is a long list of issues we could include there, no? But I would like to highlight a few. I think this partnership with private sector should be very helpful to leveraging the food systems agenda and to place small farm holders at the center of that agenda. Food systems are among the key entry points for capitalizing on interlinkages and accelerating progress to ensure better production, nutrition, health, environment, and livelihoods. So small farm holders should be at the center of the agenda. Other focus should be scaling up science, technology, and innovation. Harnessing science, technology, and innovation is crucial for a profound transformation of food and agricultural systems. Capitalizing on data, non-traditional data sources, and data science would help the development of platforms to integrate multi-sectoral data from various sources for real-time analysis and forecasting. Third, I would suggest partnerships with private sectors should also help to facilitate more and better investments as the best way to scale up technical expertise, with a focus on sustainable, climate-neutral products and services, as well as inclusive investments to help promote rural development and eradicating rural poverty. And one issue that I consider key, and we were working a lot while I was at the UN, at the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and we work a lot with other agencies of the systems like UNDP, UNCTAD, and FAO, is to strengthening the capacity building process and the institutional development related to compliance with standards and sanitary and phytosanitary regulations, including measurement tools and corporate reporting on food and agricultural sustainability issues. So those would be my initial remarks. I hope I was able to comply with the time allocated.
Thank you very much, Carlos. And as I look at my notes, I think you're really trying to address that gap, which is between the technologies that we have and how to ensure that they're really implemented on the ground properly. And then there were all those facilitating areas such as funding, capacity building, and so on. And phytosanitary is near to my heart, because if we get that wrong, we've lost crops, we've lost whole species. So thank you very much. But maybe now move on to Katarina. Your thoughts, please. You're muted, I think.
Sorry. Carlos, you already touched on a lot of topics, obviously, and gave a really good frame to be able to build on. So being the one from the private sector, I definitely second, especially building on the last 3 points that you said, right? Putting smallholders at the center is something that I do day to day, and reach out to partners of public or private or public partners. Like, how can we actually ensure building these sustainable systems? Before we not actually have the ability, if smallholders don't have the ability to access the right inputs, the right financials, the right markets, there is no need to talk about how we transition into sustainability practices. We need to ensure, you said building the food systems. For me, it's also a lot about in these markets building the right food security. If we build this food security for that market, we are able to also transition them into sustainable food systems. This we can only do together. We'll have never been able to do it alone. There are challenges between our public and private partners where we definitely will touch up on. If I talk at it from our perspective, obviously we want to try to move these challenges that we see in smallholders and how to actually reach out to them to turn them in opportunities, right? Not only from our angle, from the farmer angle, but also from the government sector angle, from the investment angle. How can we build on this, that we all see opportunities in growing these markets? I think also from a private sector perspective, we're usually in for the long haul, right? So you can build out our strategies. They're not 1 or 2 years. They're built on long-term commitments in these communities. That's the reason why I think we need to do this jointly to really make a sustainable impact.
Thank you very much, Katarina. Smallholders at the center, absolutely. So really appreciate those comments, and building food systems and ensuring food is available and affordable. Perhaps I'm taking words out of Carlos Watson's mouth here. Carlos, over to you.
Thank you very much. Indeed, it's a pleasure for me to be here. And as Katarina mentioned already, most of the issues, or many of the issues that I wanted to talk about have been already mentioned, which is great. That already proves, how coherent we are in this subject. Really, thank you very much. Good afternoon to all the participants and my fellow panelists. I'm honored to be here today. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks for the World Agricultural Forum for this opportunity, and to all the participants to come together to focus on the issue that is central to our collective future: sustainable agriculture and smallholder farmers. Let me just briefly introduce myself. My name is Carlos Watson. I am the Chief of the Private Sector Engagements based here in FAO headquarters in Rome. As this was already mentioned by my colleagues, the private sector has a transformative role in agriculture. It brings expertise, innovation, investments that can scale up solutions quickly and effectively. For this reason, it is important to consider the private sector as an essential partner in tackling challenges such as food insecurity, climate change, biodiversity. At the end of the day, most agricultural activities are private sector led. Together, we have the ability to create solutions that not only address these issues, but also drive economic growth and social equity. And at FAO, we are committed to fostering partnerships that drive sustainability and inclusivity. Our approach is to create win-win scenarios where businesses can thrive while addressing global challenges. A prime example of this approach is, for example, one of our initiatives, we call it Hand in Hand Initiative, which is an evidence-based, country-led and country-owned program designed to accelerate agricultural transformation and sustainable rural development. The Hand in Hand Initiative incorporates a robust partnership building approach, facilitating government's efforts to engage with donors and development partners, including and very, very prominently with private sector entities. It's a matchmaking approach that brings together national and local authorities, donors, international financial institutions, private enterprises, producers, organizations, the civil society, and of course, research institutions. The journey is not without challenges. Smallholder farmers still face many barriers to access to finance, technology, innovation, knowledge, and markets. Also, the regulatory environment often struggles to keep pace with innovation. By investing in sustainable practices, private sector entities can future-proof their supply chains and contribute to more resilient agricultural sector. Partnerships are key to unlocking these opportunities, ensuring that both innovation and benefits are distributed to everyone. In addition to fostering a culture of continuous learning and adaptation, with this partnership is vital. By regularly assessing and refining our strategies based on feedback and evolving challenges, we can ensure that our efforts remain effective and relevant. In conclusion, enhancing private sector partnership goes beyond a mere collaboration. It involves adopting comprehensive strategies that incorporate innovation, investment, technology, and sustainability. By uniting our efforts, we can leverage the private sector potential to foster these elements, significantly contributing to the global pursuit of the Sustainable Development Goals, which we are really falling behind. And the private sector has a key role to play, and we hope that this type of event and organizations like mine can be of assistance for speeding up this process towards achieving the SDG in less than 5 years from now, 5 years from now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlos. And thank you for mentioning the Sustainable Development Goals, which we are sadly missing our targets as we move along. And yet we all know that they're critical. And you've put the private sector on a pedestal as essential partners, not to be in conflict with the private sector, but to be strong partners working together for a goal, for the goals, and future-proofing. That is really important for the future that we don't know what it will bring. We're guessing. None of us can read the future. So that's a bit frightening when you look at global food and nutritional security. So let's move on to the markets. Arno, over to you.
Thank you, Jacqueline, and good day to everyone. So just to, as IGC, International Grains Council, indeed last year, we managed some discussions with companies to discuss about sustainability by commodities and try to understand how it is translated in the markets, and particularly when we are talking about trade. And what we realize is two main approaches. First of all, there is no standardization of this definition of sustainable agriculture. when we talk about trade, because we are moving to the consumer, and some companies are also using this as a brand tip rather than a standardized, harmonized definition. So that's something first. We don't have necessarily something which is clearly understood, identified, harmonized. The second point we have seen from the companies, and also something very interesting to look at, is sustainability is a journey. It's not a status. Companies, grains companies, grains trading companies are moving towards this sustainability approach with a different historical system. And they involve value chain stakeholders in a different steps. So that's something also very important to take into consideration when we talk about this sustainable agriculture and trade. It is a journey where we need to assess that journey rather than to look about the status per se. And in that way, I fully recognize the relevance to have all the farmers, smallholders included, but I would say in terms of sustainability, 1 hectare is 1 hectare, whatever it is managed by a smallholder or a large farm scale. The manner is to provide sustainable production and practices. So I think it's something also here to look at when we discuss sustainable agriculture. There is some specific needs definitively for smallholders in terms of capacity building, access to innovation, that's clear. But that means all type of farms should provide these inputs toward sustainability. The second thing, we just did a conference in June this year, and we address again this matter about food security and trade. And we have really seen in terms of innovation is an enabler for sustainability, an enabler for food security, because that's something really to always take into consideration, is having a possibility in all practices we would encourage to farmers is also to continue to produce more food, because that's the reality of the world. We need more food production. And the last point about innovation, it's also an innovation for trade. So that means innovation seems to be really the cornerstone today, addressing sustainability, trade, and food security. So that's really here, and we have seen several hurdles when we discuss with the companies along the value chain. We had some companies and breeding companies, trading companies, which clearly identify that the risk today about innovation is having a fragmentation about the markets in terms of standards to have access to innovation. And that will have an impact further to the farming sector and to the supply side. So this is why I would really highlight what Carlos said previously about innovation. It becomes more and more crucial to discuss about innovation, to get really a framework for all farmers and all traders, all trading companies to have access to that innovation. Otherwise, we might have different approach by regions and most probably missing some targets. And this is why a public-private partnership is important there. Because if you have together national authorities and private sector discussing this topic of innovation, for example, then you can have a scale up of your solutions and not looking at specific regions. So this is why a public-private partnership is really a way to look forward how public sector and the private sector can work on the same goal, which is a sustainable future. Thank you, Jackie.
So we were hearing, you asked a question, what is sustainable agriculture? And we know that one size doesn't fit all when we're looking at sustainability. And again, we have that enabler where there's a gap, which is innovation. How does it get to the user anywhere along the food value chain? And innovation for trade, that's one that we often in the development world miss out, but is absolutely critical because farmers need to make money as well. So on that, thank you very much to all the panelists for that very open question. I'd now like to ask you all the same question, which is, what are the opportunities and challenges of executing public-private partnerships in agriculture? I'm sure you could all give me many, many opportunities and many, many challenges, but let's try and keep it to the high-level ones as much as we can, starting with Arno. You go first this time. What do you think?
I would say maybe one of the main challenges in the public-private partnership is about the finance. Because as you rightly pinpointed, farmers need to make money. I would say all the stakeholders of within the value chain need to make money in order to have incentivized to work. And today, what we have seen the last 5 years is a huge volatility on the grains market. That means how to get farmers to invest in framework of huge volatility of your market, where the farmers will look about sustainability or look to how the market will provide some income in the future. And here is maybe the challenge between public and private partnership, I would say, is how to develop new tools which provide some de-risking. I would use that wording about de-risking finance for all the operators in order to continue to invest regularly. We have some tools from the industry level, but at farm level, I would say today, if we look about the different regions, we have not yet found the right tool to support finances to farmers to invest in the medium long term. And we know in agriculture, the return is about 5 to 10 years. It's not like in the industry, which is a shorter period of time. So that we need something much more consistent, I would say, to address this problem of innovation and investment at farm level. Thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Arno. Volatility, de-risking finance. Thank you for that. We're getting a lot of food for thought here, and we've got to try in the end to come up with these strong ideas that will help us bridge the gaps that currently exist. So let me go now to Carlos Watson, please. The same question.
Yes, thank you. I think I think you mentioned some of our opportunities and challenges of executing private-public partnerships in agriculture. This is a key question, and it's a key issue for us as well. This is what we're trying to do, and I think this is where FAO is well placed to help. You know, this is a very relevant question for our work. Public-private partnerships in agriculture are crucial collaborations that combine the strength of both the public and the private sectors to address challenges and seize opportunities in agricultural landscape. For me, the biggest issue is, I can summarize in one word: access. That could be access to finance, to technology, to innovation, to markets, to knowledge. And I think PPPs are very well placed to provide these accesses. The partnerships are central to FAO's mission to achieve global food security, and sustainable development. For FAO's strategy for private sector engagement highlights the importance of partnerships in driving innovation and sustainability in agriculture. PPPs enhance funding, expertise, public policy for agriculture, leading to advancements in research and development and innovative farming practices. By pooling resources, these partnerships can promote the development and dissemination of public policies and technologies like precision farming and sustainable agricultural methods that benefits both the producers and the consumers. FAO is trying to ensure these advancements are based on the latest scientific research and best practices. A key benefits of PPPs is integrating smallholder farmers into larger value chains, improving the market access, as I mentioned, infrastructure, and improving incomes and livelihoods. To align this with FAO's commitment to enhancing the livelihoods and promoting inclusive growth in rural areas. Additionally, PPPs facilitate market access by sharing risks, as my colleague panelist just mentioned, sharing risk between public and private entities, making it feasible to undertake ambitious projects and encouraging more investments in the agricultural sector. However, private-public partnerships face challenges such as governance issues, regulatory barriers, and ensuring sustainability and inclusiveness. Effective governance structures, supportive policy environments, and inclusive project design are essential. FAO's role, in a way, is to facilitate this type of policy dialogue and advocate for a supportive regulatory framework that we believe is critical. As already mentioned, FAO Hand in Hand initiative exemplifies this organization's commitment to leveraging public-private partnership for sustainable agricultural development. This initiative prioritizes countries with the highest level of poverty and hunger, using advanced analytical tools to promote economic growth, social inclusion, and sustainable resource use. It facilitates partnerships between governments, donors, and private enterprises to support national agricultural strategies and investment plans. Our hand-in-hand initiative demonstrates FAO's dedication to achieving these goals and ensuring that agricultural development benefits the most vulnerable population. Summarize, the PPPs in agriculture offer significant potential for innovation, resource mobilization, and market access, in many cases with led by a good policy dialogue, a special public policy dialogue. Overcoming challenges requires careful planning, clear communication, and shared commitment to common goals. This must be a win-win-win situation. By addressing these issues, PPPs can transform the agricultural sector and promote sustainable development in line with our mission and what we call our four betters. So we're looking forward to explore these options with all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Equitable access, I was hearing, and I think within what you were saying, there's also trade-offs that we have to consider, because we have opportunities and we have constraints. So to address one or the other, there are trade-offs, but we hope to be getting the innovations out, mobilizing, and ensuring that there is equitable access to these technologies by farmers, all farmers, hopefully. Katarina, what do you think in response to the opportunities and challenges?
So many things Carlos and Ana said. I do agree with a lot of things. And what I heard and what I see when we enter these public-private partnerships is like first setting it up right, because we come in with very different mindsets from the private sector and the public sector. Private, we have our target markets, we have our target groups, we know, and it's tailored to our portfolio. But also public wants to go bigger, which brings in our competitors, which leaves us into a challenge because we're not only on the public side, we're also on the private side. So matching this and setting up this partnership right, so everyone around the table agrees to it. What's the targets that we're committing to? What are the markets? And what is everyone able to deliver? We talked about the finance part. We talked about de-risking. It's a lot of times what I see, what is requested from our side, it's boots on the ground. But we also have limitations on that. So we look also for support from technical advisors on the ground. Setting this up takes a longer time, which we sometimes don't get because we're pressured by timelines. We want to move fast. And I'm definitely saying that comes a lot also from the private sector. But to make it really effectiveness on a long-termer, we should take more time. That's for me one of the biggest challenges I see. Because if we set this up right, there's only opportunities in the execution. If we know what we're doing, if we're committed to that, everyone agrees. And we also have the ability in between to hold and say, let's move a little bit more into this direction. We see we need more access to farmers. We need to actually aggregate more. We see the community is already at a different level than we anticipated. To start adjusting that, that's a challenge for us. Sitting around it, agreeing and walking together. So I know we also need to do this. So, but I urge us all to take this time to really set it up right and listen to each other, that we actually can move. Carlos, you mentioned the SDGs, that we actually can commit to that. And all the big input providers and private ag companies, we also look in sustainable agriculture. supporting the SDGs. So dialogue and then joint effectful execution is the opportunity I see.
Thank you very much, Katarina. Targets to be agreed by everyone, not that one side decides what they're going to do and then informs the other side that they're part of this big and wonderful story. And I really appreciated you saying, take a bit more time when you're setting things up, because you have to think about the unexpected consequences, perhaps, and listen, not only listen, but hear what people have to say. So thank you very much for those comments, Katarina. And now Carlos, Carlos Magariños, please.
I think he's muted.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Well, sorry, beg your pardon. I was just saying that my task in this question will be easy because most that needs to be said has been said already by the eminent speakers with whom I'm sharing the panel. But I would say, I would just to add or to mention